What's up, everybody? Just gonna do a book review. I'm gonna do a book review on King Arthur, The True Story. I picked this up from my book dealer for like $2, so this is a pretty good deal. Basically, it's written by Graham Phillips and Martin Keatman. Basically, it's like if there was a real King Arthur, who would it be? And it's pretty cool. It gets into some stuff like talks a little bit about the messianic figure. The King Arthur is technically like a messianic figure, like a Messiah figure, pretty similar to Jesus. He kind of, as far as like a solar symbol, he would represent the sun, and the zodiac or the round table represents like the zodiac, and all the other knights would be different zodiac symbols. But that's kind of like an occult perspective. He's a messianic figure because he's pretty much like Jesus. He dies, and supposedly when England is in its dire time of like need, he comes in from the clouds like Jesus. I don't really believe that Jesus is going to return or King Arthur, but I don't know. It would be funny though if either one returns. I'm gonna place my bets on King Arthur. I don't know, just being silly. Another thing it kind of gets into, it talks a little bit about Joseph of Arimathea. Supposedly, like that's like Jesus's uncle. And supposedly he has the cup from the Last Supper and collected the blood when the Spear of Destiny went into the side of Jesus. And it's actually, there's a book out there. I think it's actually just called Book of the Holy Grail or Book of Joseph of Arimathea. I don't know, but it's written by Thomas Jefferson, or translated by Thomas Jefferson, something like that. It's kind of cool. I want to get it. Mostly because it's kind of neat, like where the Bible ends, it's like you can read like Christian legends and stuff. It's almost like a continuation of the Bible. And growing up Christian and stuff, it's kind of neat to see what happened after the Bible, yeah, it gets into like the pagan grail, which is actually there's a book that I've got here for suggested like further reading for anybody who's into Celtic mythology or like the pagan beliefs of the Celts and stuff. It's called Celtic Myths and Legends. It's written by Charles Squire, and this thing is a tome. It's actually really good, but I probably sound like a broken record on how Christianity has took pagan beliefs and stuff and kind of warped them. But it's like, I mean, the more you study like myths and legends and religion and stuff, it becomes more clear, obviously, that they've done it a lot with just about all their, with their entire religion pretty much is based off of paganism. But anyways, like the Holy Grail in La Morte de Arthur, the Grail quest and stuff, there's a part of the story where I think it's Percival. When he sees the Grail, it's like there's these women all surrounding it doing this like strange ritual, and they bring out this platter and the pagan Grail, and it's actually pretty common in like Celtic tribes and stuff. They would do like blood rituals and stuff like that and use a cauldron. So technically, the Holy Grail came from earlier pagan myths about magic cauldrons and stuff. So, I mean, all these people that are looking for the cup of Christ, it could just be a magical cauldron all rusty out in the middle of like Ireland or something, in some museum. But there's another, and they talk about it in this book, there's another version of the Holy Grail, which is, it was a stone from like Lucifer's crown. And during the fall, like the rebel angels fighting the other angels, when he got thrown to earth, like the stone fell out of his crown or whatever. And a lot of people believe that that's the Holy Grail. So I mean, there's multiple Holy Grails. There could be more. I have the mindset of there's more than one Holy Grail. You got the stone of Lucifer, you got the cup of Christ, or just some ancient Celtic pagan cauldron. Talks a little bit about like where the story of Avalon, the Lady in the Lake, and the throwing of the sword into the pond or the lake. That was actually another pagan practice. They talk about that's where that came from, is anytime a warrior would die, they would, throw their sword into a lake that had some special significance to them or whatever. So there's actually a lot of archaeology that's been done in Ireland and stuff, and England and Scotland, where they've come across like ponds and lakes with just like hundreds of swords at the bottom of them, because it was a ritual. Kind of talks about Merlin's birth, which was kind of neat, and I kind of linked it up to some of the stuff that I kind of believe. Basically, like, there's a creature called an incubus, and an incubus is actually, it can change its sex from male to female, so it can become incubus and then like change to succubus. His mother, Merlin's mother, was basically had sex with a incubus, and which is kind of cool because incubus is like kind of started with Lilith and then got warped and stuff and became like a fallen angel, a demon. I mean, the Bible, or not the Bible, but when you read about the Nephillim and stuff, they say that like when the Nephillim were slain in the flood or killed in general, that the soul, it wouldn't go to like heaven or hell. It would just kind of stay on earth and basically become a demon. So I don't know which would be worse. Like if you killed a Nephilim and then the soul of the giant becomes a demon or an incubus or something, it's like, well, what do you do then? Just kill a giant, becomes a demon, and then exorcise it? I don't know. It's crazy shit. But yeah, basically, like Arthur, the name Arthur, it's actually a title, Arth, which means the bear. And I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to spoil it, but it's full of inside, the middle of the book, it's got some pretty cool photos and stuff. But yeah, the bear Arthur is actually a title, it's not a name. And I mean, it's cool to read, the Grail mythologies and stuff, and I love doing it. I've been into it probably for a couple of years now, probably like 2 or 3 years. I've been reading this, like the whole Holy Grail myths and stuff like that. I still got a long way to go. There's still other books I want to get and stuff. But Graham Phillips, he's got a lot of different side books too that I want to get eventually. Like one is like Graham Phillips kind of reminds me like Indiana Jones, like modern Indiana Jones. He's always going around looking for all these mythological sites and characters and stuff. He's got one on Merlin, on who he thinks like the real historical Merlin is. He's got one where another book where he's trying to find Avalon and where he believes Avalon is. It's pretty good, but reading, like I was saying earlier, reading like the Holy Grail myths and stuff, they give you the whole messianic Arthur. But I mean, the more you study it, it just goes back to like paganism. And in this book, I'm not saying I believe it wholeheartedly 100%, but I leave my mind open for anything. I did think it was a good book. It's a short read. It's only like 200 pages. But yeah, he's not a messianic figure. Like in the book, it pretty much says towards the end that he would have been like a warlord, a Celtic warlord. But yeah, check it out if you can find it. Check out any of his other stuff. There's actually a documentary which links up to this book. I found it on YouTube, and it was pretty cool. It shows like their archaeology side of it, of where Graham Phillips actually found this property where he believes King Arthur is like buried, and there's a pond next to it, and they've ran these little boats above it with metal detectors, and they have found metal and stuff in there, which would be probably the sword. But I don't think we'll ever find out who the real King Arthur is, if there was one. But I do think if there was a real King Arthur, I subscribe to this, definitely. He puts out a lot of good information on why he believes that the certain character, without spoiling it, is King Arthur. But check it out, and y'all have a good day.